Hi there. In this video, we are going to do a dynamic audio volume device where you can select the music to play and then increase and decrease its volume, and also you can mute it. You can unmute it, and when you mute it, when you change the audio, it also comes back up. And when you select the music from here, it highlights the frame of it. And now I selected a different music. I can also play it, and I can stop it. So if you're interested in this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and also hype this video. And let's continue with the video. Hey everyone, in this video we are going to do a audio volume device, or like a music system that's usually used in those 1v1 music games that are I'd say pretty popular. So let me hide the triggers here so that you can you can see what's going on a bit easier. Oops. All right. So I was also launching the Fortnite in the background, but all right. Um. So yeah. So these are um. You know, things that we have. Um. So it's basically you have a volume bar, and these are supposed to be the music selections. I just put some planes with different colors here. So they of course have a trigger in front of all of them, so that we registered hits using a trigger. So an important thing here is that make sure this is not visible. So the trigger, all these triggers here, make sure they're not visible in the game. And they need to be triggered by damage, and also they need to be receive damage when invisible. So those are some important settings for the triggers. And it's pretty straightforward. This increases the volume, decreases the volume, plays the music, stops the music. So first you shoot at the music, then play it, shoot at the playing, and as you change the decrease or increase the volume, this bar fills up accordingly. And the ratio of the fill is dependent on which how many volume levels you have set up with audio mixers, which I'll show in a second here. And we have the mute audio mute option as well. And also there's a couple of caveats here. So when you select the music, the frame around that selection gets highlighted, and also when you click on the mute, when it's muted, this turns red. So that's why when it comes to the device, these planes are just planes that we do not reference with our verse device. But when it's comes to the mute and the frames here, which are actually frames, are here separate, so separate from the actual thing. So this is just a plane, but here this is again a plane, but it's a plane prop. You can see here it's a blueprint plane prop. And another detail here is that this is just this border here again is just a texture that we put on a plane, and we scale the plane accordingly so that it wraps around this volume bar nicely. So yeah, the verse device references these 3 plane props here. So this is the frame. This is the frame prop 1, frame prop 2, and then here we have the volume fill display prop, which is this one, the mute. No, I'm sorry. That one is this one. So this is also a plane prop. This volume fill. And here I've obviously set on the materials as well. So this has the material audio increase, which uses this texture audio increase, and the the volume fill material, the frame material, and the mute material are a bit different. So they have some details to them because we do stuff with them when you like hit them. So when it comes to volume fill, obviously we have a fill parameter here. So 0 means 0% filled, 1 means 100% filled, which we just because on the top value, so we get the like the G, which is the like the V coordinate of the UV, so the Y coordinate, and we subtract it from 1 because at the top the coordinate is going to be, so at the top of the texture the coordinate is going to be 0, but it's actually in this one means 100%, so we kind of need to negate that, kind of not negate but flip, and then we use both of them in the step function and step node, which what this does is this is going to either give out like 0 or 1 depending on like if this is greater than this, it's going to give 0, and if this is greater or equal than this, then it's going to give 1. So we're going to have that that described portion of the texture is going to be visible only. So if this is 1, we are going to have 100% of it visible. If this is like 0.7, it's going to have 70% of it visible. And so we just like multiply it with the RGB value and the alpha value, and we plug them in. And the frame here is that so if we have be selected a scalar value that we used as a Boolean value. So if it's not selected, we are like multiplying this frame with a kind of a gray color, mostly white, but a little bit gray. And if it's if B selected as 0, we are selecting that color, but if B selected as 1, then we are selecting this color, which is this RGB of the texture multiplied bit with basically 16. And we are using, this is an emissive, this is an unlit emissive material, so we are going to have a glowing white color there. So there's a little bit of a trick here. I didn't want to, since this has like black parts, I didn't want to highlight the black parts of the material. So I'm just, it's a really silly hack. I just multiply the RGB values, and if this is like a white, then it's gonna have, a value that's like close to 1, right? So I'm just stepping it with 0.7. So if it's like a black value, it's gonna give 0, so it's gonna pick 1, so it's just gonna pick the RGB. If it's a white color, it's going to select 16. Usually you would do something like this, like with the mask texture, but with this one, like I know what the texture is, so I was just able to do this simple thing. But it might not work properly if you have a different texture. And with the mute, it's just if B muted, we're just multiplying it with red, so it's gonna be, the white part's gonna be black, and the white part's gonna be red, and the blue part is gonna be black, I think. Because it's also 100. So that's a lot of words. But it's actually, materials are pretty simple materials, and just the rest of is just just textures with just like mask materials, and just textures just connected to the RGB values, and that's it. And it's just they're put on the planes. And of course, if you want to get all these textures, materials, and like a code file directly, you can check our Patreon in the description. So let's come to the verse device again. So we have a couple of triggers: trigger to play the music, trigger to which you put in front of this, trigger to stop the music, which you put in front of this, trigger to mute the music, which you put in front of this here, and the volume increase, volume decrease, and you put them in front of these. Right. When it comes to the music selection, so we have three things. So we have the frame prop need to be set, which is this part here, this frame, because we are creating material in the verse and we are updating it depending on the state. Then we have the trigger in front of it, which to select this music. Then we have the audio player, and we have the same thing for this one as well. And of course, additionally in the scene, we have the, we have the plane itself, which is to, just display like the image, the icon of this music, whatever it be. And then the audio player is, so I just put some Fortnite music here. You set the volume. Important thing here is that I would say, this doesn't work for per instigator, so make sure it's heard by everyone. And I'd say, you could, maybe you want it to play from a location, you can do that, but I prefer like playing it at the local player, so it's like a background music, and also sync the player audio. That helps, I guess. Not really sure, because this is usually used in, as I said, like 1v1 music type of games. And yeah, the mixers. And so before mixers, let me show you the volume fill display prop. So this is this prop here, right? Which is just a plain prop, right? And then the volume mute display prop, which is this one here again. So so again, a couple of these. So this one, so like this one, and then the music selections, music selection frames. Actually, they are plain props instead of like straight, like just plain static meshes, because we need to reference them in the verse device, because we create materials for them and then like update their state, so we need to reference them. And then we have the mixers. So mixers basically need to be, so an important thing here is that it's if you hover onto it, you'll see the like helper message. So it says the first mixer should have minimum value and it should be 0.0. The last mixer should have maximum value, and put at least 2 mixers. So the minimum, so it needs to be in ascending order or increasing order. And the last one actually doesn't need to be like 1.0, but it just needs to be the maximum value. But the first one needs to be 0.0, right? Because like the first one needs to be the 0% volume that that's the device use when you like the mute it and stuff like that. So the first one needs to be 0, but the maximum one doesn't need to be 1.0. It can be something lower. So in this one, so by the way, make sure it's heard by everyone, and the bus is going to be forward music, and then the fader value is going to start with 0.0. And in this example, I just made 0.25, 0.5, 75, and then 1.0. So which is like 0%, 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And yeah, another thing is that make sure that these are like equal. Their difference from each other is equal. As you can see in here, it goes like 25% on each step, because you can actually make it non-uniform in increasing values, but the display assumes uniform increase. So in this one, like it will at 0, it will show like it will be filled at nothing, and then like 25% of it will be filled, then 50, then 75, and then 100%. Um, but like, let's say this was not 725 and this was like 30%. This would still, the music would play at 30% of the volume, but this would still fill 25%. So you should also fill this in uniform values. And I guess that's it with the device setup, right? Yeah. And let me show this, just a building, just a prop, and the mesh of it is just a plane, and that's it. Nothing fancy with it. So another important thing here is that you need to, it's gonna give a compiler if the asset paths are different, so you can't miss it. But you need to fill these asset paths with your own asset paths if they're different, which will probably be different. So we have the music selection class here, which is, we've seen the editables. We initialize all of them at on begin, which we create the material, set the material for the frame, and then we listen to the trigger to select, in which we notify the main device. And when in the set selected, we either, we just set the value of the material parameter to 1 or 0, and the rest is handled inside the material. Oops. Oh, okay. All right, we don't want that. Let me mute that. Okay. All right, I think so. There is something wrong with it, but yeah, that's all right. So the Fortnite failed to open, but that's okay. I'll just unpause the recording while it's opening. So let's continue with this. So we have references of two music selections here. One is the music that's like currently playing, even if it's muted, and then the selection to play. So, first you shoot to select and then you play, and so that's why they're different. We store the mixer's length for ease of use, and then the current volume index, be muted, the muted state, and then the references for the created, like the materials, the fill material and the mute material. We create them and set them at the start. And then first we start with the 100% volume. Whatever, maybe your 100% is not like 1.0 in your mixer, but whatever, like this assumes that value is 100%. We initialize the music selections and we listen to these like play, stop, mute triggers, and then also the increase, decrease triggers. So when a music is selected, we set the previous one as false, and then set the new one as selected, and we don't play it. We just do the selection here. So when hit play, we stop the current one and then we play the new one. When stopped, we just stop this one, the current one. When muted, so we negate the state of the muted state, and then depending on the current state, we either, if it's muted, we are basically setting it to be muted, or we are setting it to be unmuted. And then we are also updating the mute material. On increase and decrease, we call the inner function volume change with a parameter of 1 or -1, which we first look at if it's muted, we are going to unmute it, and then we are updating the volume index with clamping it to make sure it's not out of bounds, and then we are deactivating the previous mix and activating the current mix. And we also then here update the fill material, and this is here, as you can see, this is just does a uniform increase, so looks at the total amount of mixers, not counting the 0% mixer, and then sets the fill to something between 0 and 1. All right, and that's all of it for the code. It's pretty event-based code. There's no like custom loop or anything with it. So this, because this project is a mix of like bunch of like textures, materials, and also some part of code. All right, and let me scroll up and so that you can see everything. All right, now only thing left is to test and show you how it works. Right now I'm pausing the recording and then I'm pausing the recording and I'll unpause it when the session is successfully launched. All right, see you for me for a couple of minutes, and for you it will be instant. All right, now let's get a weapon here. Okay, so now, because the volume starts at, the default starts at 100%, it's all the way to the top, I can select the music, and as you can see, it didn't start playing it because I didn't hit play. Now I'll hit play and it'll start playing, and now it is at the maximum volume, and as I push on decrease, the volume decreases, and as I hit on increase, the volume increases, and you can see that the fill is handled nicely. I can mute, it is muted, and I can continue playing. I can mute, and whenever I change the volume, it will unmute it. If I go back to the bottom, no sound, and I can hit this to stop. All right, and I can, okay, let's play again. And I can hit this. Now it's selected it, and I can hit this, and now it's switched to music. Right, and this is it. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and also hype. And also don't forget to comment out what tutorial you would want to see next. If you want to access any of the assets, the code file directly, or need any help, you can check our Patreon description. Right, see you in the next videos.